Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Victoria and today we are going to be talking about some of the books that I've read recently that I loved that were on KU or Kindle Unlimited. So I did one of these previously, so I will link the last one that I did in my description box. But basically, Kindle Unlimited is a subscription service through Amazon where you pay a fee. I believe it's $9.99, and it's a monthly fee, and you pay that fee and you're able to read as many books as you want during the month that are on Kindle Unlimited. And you can download, I think it's the 20 at a time, and you can constantly be returning them and downloading new ones and everything, so you can read as many as you want. And I love the service and I use it all the time, and I've had it for 2 years now, I think. Some of these books I read actually on KU, like I read the ebook, and some of them they're on KU but I downloaded the ebook and then bought the audiobook for a discounted price, but they're still on KU. So even though I didn't read them on KU, I used KU in order to buy them. Got you? Okay. So I have a couple that I'm going to mention that I really loved that I've read recently, and all of them are available on Kindle Unlimited. So the first one that I'm going to mention is Captive of the Horde King by Zoe Draven. This is an alien romance that I gave 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. And it is about a heroine who is human and lives on this alien planet, and there are rules. She lives in an encampment like with the other humans, but her camp is very poor and doesn't have a lot of food. And so her brother decides to come up with this idea to try and help the soil so that they can grow food better. But it goes wrong, and he ends up doing something that is against the regulations or restrictions of the aliens that run the planet, that own the planet. On this planet, the alien group that lives there, they have like a king that's in their like capital. And then they have basically like right-hand men who are like the leaders of these troops called hordes, which are basically like leaders of their militaries, basically. And the hordes go around and police the people who are living on the planet. And so each horde has a horde king, so like the leader of that horde, of that group of aliens that are going around. And so the horde that services the heroine's area come to her camp to kill her brother because they're like, he broke the rules and he must die. And the heroine is like, please do not hurt my brother. I will do anything to save my brother. And so she offers herself up to the Horde King to be his slave in order to protect her brother. And it's basically like, I will go with you and do anything you want if you leave my brother alive. And the Horde King agrees, takes her with them, and they skedaddle out of there. And then the heroine believes that she's gonna end up being like a slave or like a whore for the troop. She's wrong. The hero, who is the Horde King, decides to make her his queen. And it reminds me a lot of Khal Drogo and Khaleesi from Game of Thrones. So if you like Game of Thrones, it's a very similar idea with the Dothraki and like the other woman coming in and becoming the like queen of the Dothraki, and then learning their language, becoming encased, whatever that word is, in their culture, and actually learning to love the Horde King and also the culture and the lifestyle that the Horde lives, and becoming part of that. And it's very, very good. I really, really loved it. In alien romances, the part that I always find the most interesting is them trying to like communicate and understand each other's culture, because when the heroine arrives with the troop, she's like, this is so different. And I loved the heroine's tenacity and just how much she stood up for what she believed in, while also learning to become softened by the hero and his ways. So their relationship developed so well. It was so cute. This is the first book in a series. I have not continued in this series, but I definitely will. because I think that the end of this book set up book 2 well, but there are a bunch of them, and so I feel like throughout all of the books you're gonna get to know even more about the planet that they live on and like any other, because there are other alien races living on the planet. And so I really am interested to know more, but it was so good, and I would 100% recommend it. Then the next ones that I'm going to talk about are actually book 1 and book 2 in a series, but you can totally read them out of order. I read them out of order, and that is Fair Catch and Blindside by Candy Steiner. These ones are sports romances. Fair Catch is a brother's best friend, enemies to lovers, roommates romance. And so the heroine in this one is actually her brother, and his best friend and her were very close when they were younger, but her brother and the best friend Zeke got into a car accident when they were in high school. And Zeke was driving and he walked away unscathed, and her brother didn't, and is in a wheelchair now. They were both football players, and Zeke gets to continue his football career and her brother doesn't. And so she agrees to take her brother's position on the football team, and she works really hard to be the position that her brother was on the football team, which was the kicker. And so she's now in college and is the only female kicker in college football, and Zeke goes to the same college. And so she and Zeke are on the same team. And they also, all of the team ends up living in the same hall. And I'm so sorry, the lighting just changed so badly. So the heroine ends up living with the team in the same hall, but she was supposed to be able to have a single as a girl, but she can't, and ends up having to become roommates with Zeke. And she cannot stand Zeke because she blames him for what happened to her brother. But they grow and develop a really cute relationship. It was so good. There was one thing in the third act that bothered me, pissed me off, but I still ended up giving it 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. Then Blindside, which was my favorite one that I absolutely loved, gave 5 stars. This one is another sports romance, but the hero in Blindside is on the football team, and the heroine is the PR assistant for the team. And it's a fake dating romance. The hero's girlfriend broke up with him, and he is super upset and wants her back, and the heroine has a huge crush on this one guy, but he doesn't notice her or anything. And so Clay, the hero, makes a deal with Gianna, the heroine, and is like, hey, if we fake date, your dude's gonna notice you because I'm super popular and you'll be with me, and my ex-girlfriend will be jealous. And so they agree to fake date, but while they're fake dating, Clay finds out that Gianna is actually a virgin. She knows nothing about seducing somebody or sex or actually like being in a relationship with someone. And so it is a seduction lessons type trope where he helps teach Gianna how to be comfortable, how to go about things. And it was so good. They fall in love. Clay is the most swoony hero. I loved him so much, and I am so happy that I read this because I actually wasn't going to, because I've read 2 Candy Steiner books previously and I didn't like either of them. I really didn't like one of them, and I think that I gave 3 stars and was kind of bored during the other one that I had read. But I decided to give Candy Steiner another try because Blindsided sounds so good, and because Cheyenne from That Tall Book Girl really loved it. So I decided to read it, and I'm so happy I did because I gave it 5 stars, absolutely loved it. It is so good. There is a scene in this book where Gianna loves romance novels, and she loves dark romance novels, which is just amazing. And Clay reads her romance books and goes to like the parts that she tabbed in them so that he can know what she's into, so that he can help her better. Men, take notes. Clay is who you want to be like. Then the next couple of books that I'm going to talk about are another series These ones I read in order, and it's probably better to read them in order because you do get introduced to the characters in previous books, but you don't have to. It would totally make sense for the romance if you didn't. So that is the Calamity Montana series by Willa Nash or Devney Perry. Willa Nash is a pen name for Devney Perry. If it's Willa Nash, the name is Willa Nash on it, it just means that it's Devney Perry books that are in Kindle Unlimited, because Devney Perry's regular books are not in Kindle Unlimited. So this series is a 4-book series. You have the Bribe, the Bluff, the Brazen, and the Bully. And they all center around romances that take place in Calamity, Montana, which is this small town. And so the Bribe is about a heroine who is a very famous country singer who has been dealing with some issues with her record label and with a fan that has been stalking her. And so she changes her hair color, changes her name, and comes to Calamity to hide out basically and just pretend to be somebody else. But the town sheriff finds out who she is and they end up developing a romance. It was very cute, but it was my least favorite in the series. I did give it 4 stars though. The second one is The Bluff, and this one is a contemporary marriage of convenience because the hero was in prison when he was younger, and his ex-wife gave birth while he was in prison, divorced him, and then he didn't even know that he had a kid until after he got out, and his ex-wife keeps the child away from him entirely. Like, he has no rights to the kid. He doesn't get to see her at all. So now it's multiple years later, and his daughter is like a teenager, and he rarely ever gets to see her. She sneaks away to see him, but he rarely ever gets to see her, but she hates living with her mom and her stepdad. And so he decides that he's gonna do one more shot at getting custody of his daughter, or partial custody of his daughter. And he finds out that if he was married or had a longtime female partner, like if he had a stable woman presence in the household, that he'd have a better shot at getting custody of his daughter. And so this girl that he has been having like a friends with benefits couple night stand arrangement with, overhears this and decides to go, hey, I'll marry you. And so they get married in order to try and get custody of the daughter. Then the third book in the series is my absolute favorite. It's The Brazen. It follows Kerrigan, who is a businesswoman in the town. She is very business focused and is doing her best to like buy up real estate and make businesses, and it's very cool. And she's a great heroine. I really, really liked her. But she ends up becoming overextended on a loan, and then the guy who gave her the loan, who was a friend of hers, he passes away, and his grandson takes over his business, and the grandson and this man did not part on good terms. And so the grandson shows up in Calamity to Kerrigan and says, you're overextended on your loan. I need your loan payment back by next week. And she's like, fuck you. But they end up getting trapped in a snowstorm together and working out certain things and getting to know each other a little bit more, and they end up falling in love, and it's very, very cute. There are some issues that come around, but it's very, very good. I gave it 5 stars, absolutely loved it. And then the fourth book in the series, which is my second favorite in the series, is The Bully. And this one, the hero used to bully the heroine when they were in high school. But now they've both moved to Calamity because the hero from book 3, The Brazen, is their mutual best friend. So these two don't get along, but they have a mutual best friend. And the hero is a former NFL player. He just recently retired. And the heroine works at the hero from book 3's company. They have had like a enemies with benefits arrangement for a couple of years, and they finally like have to work out their feelings and their issues and everything because they are in the same town now, and they do see each other much more often than they had been previously, and it was really, really good. I loved the hero in that one. Then the next ones that I'm going to talk about are the Bonds That Tie series by J. Bree. This is a paranormal reverse harem series. The heroine's name is Oleander, or Ollie, and she, in this world, you have bonds, which is basically like fated mates. You can have multiple, you can have 2, you can have 5, like you have bonds, and you can find out who your bonds are with like a blood test, I think. And so the heroine, when she was younger, her parents were in a car crash. Her parents end up dying, and while she's in the hospital, they test her to find out who her bonds are, and she finds out that she has these 5 bonds, but she is in danger and actually runs away and ends up on the run for like 4 years away from her bonds until they finally capture her. They have no idea why she ran. They can't stand her because of the fact that she ran. They're so hurt by it. And they drag her back and make her go to this college that they own, and make her like be around them and give her a bunch of rules. So the first book is definitely a bully romance, because her bonds are super irritated with her. But there are 5 bonds, so you do get a lot of different reactions and different emotions to her leaving. But it was so good, so addictive. The writing in book 1 is not the best, but it already gets better over the rest of the books. Like, I've read up to book 3 and the writing has already improved. And even though the writing was like slightly juvenile in book 1, it was still so good and so addictive. I immediately went into book 2 and then immediately went into book 3 after I finished it. I would 100% recommend it. It is so, so good. I love the magic system and the whole bonds, and each person has like different powers, and they have no idea what Ollie's power is. They think that she doesn't have one, and it's so good. I loved it. Then the last one that I think I'm going to recommend is Snowstorm by Cassie Mint. This one is a novella, and it is about a heroine who is on a study abroad trip to the UK, and she takes a tour of this duke's grounds, and while on the tour, she ends up sitting down and getting away because she has been traveling, and it's like the day that she got there and she is exhausted. And so she sits down for a second and actually ends up falling asleep, and the tour leaves without her. And then the Duke, who actually owns the grounds, shows up at his house and finds this girl sleeping on his bench. And so he wakes her up and is like, "Who the fuck are you?" And she's like, "I'm so sorry. Where's the tour?" And he's like, "Tour? They left 8 hours ago." And so there's a crazy snowstorm going on outside, and so she can't leave. And so the Duke invites her to stay for the night, and they end up hooking up and then falling in love. It's Cassie Mint. It was very short, but I really liked it. But that's going to be the last one that I was going to recommend. So that's it for this video. So thank you so much for watching. Please let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these, what you thought, and also if you have any recommendations for me from books on KU that I need to read. But that's going to be it. So please like this video if you liked it, subscribe, and stick around so you can see more content from me, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.